Hi everyone, welcome back. You should have completed the pretest by now. If you have not completed the pretest, please stop at this point, exit out of the video, and go and complete the pretest. The purpose of the pretest is to help you figure out kind of where you stand on grammar and vocabulary skills at this point and help us look towards where we're going for the rest of the semester. This lecture is going to be a review of pretest concepts. So, as I mentioned before, make sure that you have completed the pretest before moving forward. Something that you saw in the pretest was the use of lay versus lie. These are often misused in the English language, even by native English speakers. Mostly because we're very lazy about it when we talk, and so we're unable to distinguish when we're writing. So when I say the word lay, its definition is to put or set something down. So this may be something like, I lay down the. This is lie. This is to be, to stay or to assume, rest in the horizontal position. Here are two common examples of using lay versus lie. I lay down the book. We can see this as an action of putting down. And then the second one is I lie down to sleep. This is to be in the horizontal position. This is that to be element. Of course, there has to be some changes, and we'll talk about different irregular verbs throughout the semester. But the word lay can be used in present, of course, past and present participle, and there has to be some changes. So he lays down the book is the present tense versus he laid down the book, which is the past tense, which means it already happened. And then we have what's called the present participle. This is the action, if you will. He is laying the book down. And you can see that it has a helping verb, the is, that's used in that sentence. Lie also has different versions, and you'll see this is why people get confused, because the present tense makes sense. He lies down to sleep. But in the past tense, we're now going to use lay. This is one of those complications and many reasons that people don't understand the difference between past and present tense and lie versus lay. He lay down to go to sleep yesterday. That is the past tense. Some people want to say he lied down, but that is not right. So here you have to use the word lay for the past tense of lie. And then we have the present participle. Once again, we see that helping verb is here. He is lying down to go to sleep. So when you're using lie versus lay, you have to understand what the meaning of your sentence is going to be, but you also have to understand what tense your sentence is in order to pick the right one. Plural versus possessive. Plural is when you have more than one of something. Possessive means that it shows ownership. Once again, this can be very complicated. The director of the Hall School of Journalism and Communication is currently Dr. Jeff Spurlock, and he is married to Dr. Amy Spurlock. So if I were implying that both of them were going to China, I would write, the Spurlocks are going to represent Troy in China, because both of them are going. So that means there's two, and I'm going to use plural. Plural is just adding an S to the end most of the time. On the other hand, if we're talking about something that's possessive, and in this case it's plural possessive, and I'm talking about their house, I would write, that is the Spurlocks, with the apostrophe at the end, house on the Troy campus, because I'm referring to both of the Spurlocks, that it is their house together. There was a very funny article that was written by someone that I went to college with named Kate Brannon, now Kate Brannon Smith, and she wrote a whole article that was headlined, How to Make Your Name Plural This Christmas Season. I highly encourage you to go and read this article because A, it's very funny, and B, it has really important information. So if I were going to say Merry Christmas from the Halls, and I was referring to me and my family, which is multiple people, I would want to make it plural. Take a minute to figure out which one of these is plural and would be appropriate. If you said the second one, you are correct. If I was writing a Christmas card, I would sign it from the Halls or Merry Christmas from the Halls because we are multiple people. If you selected the bottom one, that one is plural possessive. You were on the right track, but we didn't need to make it possessive. The top one is singular possessive. Here are a few more examples for you to look at with was versus were. So we say a total of 60 sophomores blank examined and tested. So our subject here is going to be examined and tested. So it would be a total of 60 sophomores were examined and tested. Absent from the court, blank, the lawyer and defendant. This works the same way. We're going to use were because our subject is the lawyer and defendant, even though they're at the end of the sentence. So it would read, absent from the court were the lawyer and defendant. And then we have every firefighter in Troy, 52 in all, blank, called out to battle the fire. Every firefighter in Troy. So we're going to disregard 52 in all because it is a non-essential phrase, and we can tell that because it's set off in commas. But every firefighter is working as a singular, one item. This is called a collective noun. Every firefighter in Troy was called out to battle the fire. You have quiz 2 coming up on Friday. And as part of this, you will have spelling and vocabulary words that you'll need to learn. So this is the first set. These are available in the module. You'll see a link as well as at the bottom of your big group of modules, you'll see one specifically that says spelling and one that says vocabulary. And this will be in the quiz 2 group. And so you can go through those. You also will find the vocabulary words available inside of this week's modules as well at the end of the big modules page, and these are the vocabulary words that you'll need to learn. You will not be allowed during the quizzes to use any resources, so you need to work on memorizing the word and its definition, and then from the spelling, how to spell them. You should have read in your Working with Words book on word usage. I'm going to go over these sets that are going to show up on your quiz this week and will be something that will be important to know for the rest of the semester as well as when you move into reporting and conducting or participating in internships and jobs. So the first one is among versus between. So between is usually referring to two things. You have to choose between cake and ice cream for the birthday party. When someone is using among, it's usually for a number greater than 2. Among the dessert options available, would you like cake, ice cream, brownies, or cookies? So you can typically tell which one you should use. If you have two items for between or more than two, you'll use among. Now this one tends to be a little bit trickier than among versus between. This is effect versus affect. And once again, because we don't enunciate them when we speak, we tend to use them interchangeably, but we should not do that. So we need to be more cognizant when we're writing to make sure we're using the appropriate word. Effect with an E is usually a noun. So effect is the result of a change. Affect, on the other hand, is usually a verb. Affect means to impact or to change. I think this is easier to demonstrate with an example. President Trump asked, "What will be the blank of raising tax dollars for the rich?" So we need to decide between effect and affect. Take a minute to think about which one you think should be used based on the sentence. When you're ready, go ahead and you can move forward. The answer to this is effect. And the reason is because we're looking for a noun. And effect is the noun option that we are given. In addition to that, we see that we're looking for the result of a change, right? So he is asking specifically about what will happen when we raise tax dollars for the rich. So we want to choose effect. I suggest that if you did not get these right in the pretest, that you go back and take a look. Farther versus further. Again, this is another one that we tend not to enunciate and we use interchangeably because they sound so similar when we say them out loud. And so people often get them confused when they're doing writing. So farther with an A implies physical distance. Scott ran farther than Jim. He may have run more feet, miles, kilometer, whatever the physical distance is. Further with a U is figurative distance. He advanced further into military ranks than he had planned. Military ranks are not a distance that you go. They are achievements. Yes, they are measurable, but they're not measurable in the way we want to use farther. So in this case, we're going to use further. When people talk about science research, they usually mean further because we have advanced our technologies further than other countries. So something to think about and be aware of, especially when you're reading and writing scientific articles. Imply versus infer. To imply is to address something indirectly. It isn't fair to imply that height makes someone smarter. Versus to infer, this is to deduce or gather. It must not be inferred that taller people are without challenges. This is not a confusion because of how we say something. This is typically just not understanding the definition of imply versus infer. And this is the last set for today, alluded versus eluded. Allude refers to something indirectly by giving hints, when there's something you don't want to say outright. Chancellor Hawkins alluded to the students that they would have some new campus amenities. To elude is to evade or avoid. Chancellor Hawkins was arrested after attempting to elude the police by dashing out of his office. Of course, that is a fake sentence, but the word elude is often used in reference to escaping, avoiding police. I hope that this review was helpful. you can go back into your pretest and look at it to help you prepare for quiz 2.